So it's the big moment. All the campaigning is done, all the hustings are done, all the voting's done. We found out in a couple of hours, as Kate said, who is going to be the leader. If it's not Boris, what sort of a shock would that be?
About 9 on the Richter scale.
Yeah. So fully expecting it to be Boris Johnson. I mean, you've been heavily involved in his campaign.
People say it's you that won it.
Well, there's a team of people that have done pretty well, and there were 3 weeks to get through, or 3.5 weeks, really, and that was the whole purpose.
At the start of this, Iain, that Boris was being kept away from the public. Was that a strategy that was employed initially?
No, I think that he did a lot of really tough interviews. I mean, no one's tougher than Andrew Neil, let me tell you. I've sat with him many times.
That's a little hurtful.
Well, I don't mean that. I use the word tougher, not good. I just said he's tougher. Of course, GMB is easily the most important and best slot, I know, definitely. And I did promise Piers I'd do my level best to try and get the Prime Minister in here, but he didn't. But I'm sure he will come into the studio. I hope he does at some point. But he did a lot of tough interviews. It's just that we were really more of a view that he needed to be out doing hustings and meeting people, and so travelling around the country was very much what he did.
Let's be honest, it seems to have worked.
It worked really, and this idea that Boris was going to gaffe, I thought was quite amusing, because in fact, in many senses, it was Jeremy who was meant to be the safe pair of hands, and things like hunting and various other things were genuine gaffes, but not Boris. Boris stuck very much to him.
What about the building the buses? And painting buses out of wooden carts.
You know, I would have thought that's something that GMB would quite like, actually.
Well, yeah, but that felt very strange to us watching it. Did you watch that and think, gosh, what on earth is he talking about?
Well, I didn't know anything at all about that until it came out, and so I learnt something about Boris that I'm never going to let him have my wine cases if I'm wealthy enough to give them, because he'll turn them.
You know what you're going to get for Christmas, though, don't you? He's going to make you a handmade bus.
Definitely. Well, I paint, but I don't paint buses, let me tell you. So,
OK. So what's he promised you for doing such a good job?
Absolutely nothing. I've asked for nothing.
Will you be cross, though, if he doesn't deliver something?
No, I wouldn't, actually, to be honest with you.
It would be a little bit nifty. Come on, all that hard work.
Do you know, I've been in government and I've been leader and all the rest of it, and I have to tell you that I'm really quite relaxed with what I'm doing, because I run the Centre for Social Justice, which I set up, so I've got quite a lot going on. If he thinks that he wants other people, no one will be more relaxed about it than me.
Will you still stay there, though, helping him to get Brexit through? Will you be like a sort of conciliary by his side?
I like the sound of that. If anybody's listening as a conciliary going wanting here, but no, I'd be very, very happy to help. I mean, the truth is we've got to settle this. That's been the whole line at the beginning. It's the indecision that is harming us, not the decision. And I think the sooner we get this sorted, the better. I think the European Union's got to have to think about the way it deals with us, and I think that's got to happen very soon. I
mean, the front of The Guardian is pretty stark warnings for Boris. I mean, it's not been announced yet, of course, but it's fully expected that he will be the leader and the Prime Minister. And particularly the thing that everybody is very scared of is the idea that he's going to turn around and say we're going to leave on the 31st of October with no deal. Can you see that happening, Iain?
I can, if it has to be. He said, and I've always said, I'd much prefer to have an arrangement with the EU that was beneficial to both sides. What is absolutely clear now is that things have changed since the 29th of March. The idea we can have this long extension where we stay in doesn't happen. The Brexit Party, as you will see in the by-election fairly shortly, are breathing down the necks of both the major parties. They have completely destroyed politics as we know it at the moment. Our failure to leave on the 29th of March has created this bow wave of anger, and we have to settle it. And
but you're not going to be able to, are you? Because you've got, just as Boris and Brexiteers were causing problems for Theresa May, the maths didn't add up when she was trying to get that deal through. You've now got people who are very against no deal, maybe still Remainers at heart, who are going to be there causing problems. It's already tight. There's a by-election next week. The Tories are in second place of that. That means you'd have a majority of one left. I mean, how is it even possible for you to get anything through?
Well, let me explain. Right now, it is law that we leave on the 31st of October, or by the 31st of October. So that is statute, that is law. So if nothing else happens, we leave on the 31st of October, deal or no deal. So the only question, therefore, is what kind of arrangement do we try and achieve with the European Union prior to that?
That's always been the question, Iain. And the problem is you can't get agreement on it.
Well, maybe not. And my view about this, and I've had 2 sessions with Barnier and his team, my problem is not actually, funnily enough, with them. My problem is with my own government. We set about this in quite the wrong way. We thought we were talking to friends. We're not talking to friends. They treated us, as they always do in negotiations, as a third country, and they want to get what they can out of it. We had a bizarre idea that we'd be chummy-chummy with them and somehow it would all be OK. We got taken to the cleaners. This time round, we're very clear. They need to know we're leaving on the 31st of October. I don't know if you saw the interview recently with Barnier and with Selmayr. They both said, we knew the UK would not leave without a deal. So why did we bother? We knew we had them over a barrel, so we just kept ramming stuff at them. The moment they honestly look us in the whites of the eyes and see they're serious, that's, I believe, the moment when they'll say, OK, well, then we need to get an arrangement so that both sides don't in any way end up...
Because there was a huge amount of fear, isn't there, within the city, within the country about the idea of leaving with no deal. We had Tobias Ellwood on yesterday talking about this, and he was very forceful about the idea that we can't leave with no deal, and the idea of leaving with no deal is very misleading. Let's just have a listen to what he said, Ian.
The trouble is, we don't bother to go to the detail. We use these phrases, these grand terms, these headlines, such as walking out with no deal. I would still have to crawl back to the table and say, how are we going to get those medical supplies across? Because we're stockpiling right now. How are we going to actually trade?
Sure.
Laurie's going to go, these are all the details that require a form of a relationship and a deal.
How do you answer that? Because he got very sort of upset about the idea that no deal as a banner headline just means nothing.
Yeah, I agree with him. There is no such thing as no deal, because in effect, what has already happened, there are already 17 mini deals. For example, on medicines, on cabotage, which is where trucks can travel across Europe, pick up goods in one country, come. That's all settled. Landing rights, all settled. Overfly rights, settled. 17 deals already agreed with the European Union. We have to ratify them, but they're already arrangement. What we're talking about when we say no deal is no withdrawal agreement. So things like the money and citizens' rights have still got to be settled. But these things can be settled separately from an arrangement. So, you know, the panic that he sort of tries to induce about no deal and others, simply not correct. And I believe, honestly, that when we get to the point the European Union does want to have an arrangement with us, all these 17 arrangements are already in place, so we need to get the rest done as well.
One quick question on Iran, the big problem that the new Prime Minister is going to have to tackle. We are being seen by Iran, in many cases, as being a puppet of America, which is ratcheting up pressure on Iran, pressure with those sanctions. And yet yesterday, Jeremy Hunt was saying that we're calling for a European-wide force. It seemed to just illustrate and remind everybody how we need to work with Europe.
Well, I don't agree with that. I thought that was a...
You don't agree with Jeremy Hunt's
Well,
position?
I don't agree, because I think we've really made a shambles of this Iranian thing, and I'm really critical of my government over this. Number one, if we're going to seize a tanker that is shipping oil illegally, we think, or the Gibraltar authorities do, to Syria, then I would have thought that a chain of actions would have happened directly. One, OK, we've done that. We know they're going to go tit for tat. The one thing the Iranians do all the time is take hostages.
Retaliate, yeah.
So what did we do?
Do you think we did it because America asked us to and we need to deal with America?
No, because there are European sanctions against shipments to Syria. But it's really, really important to get this straight. The Americans offered us support in the Gulf to protect our shipping. We refused to take it up.
Because
I think the Prime Minister made a classic error of thinking it would upset the Iranians if we said to the Americans...
We'd be drawn into that conflict.
Well, we didn't even do that, and what happened is they captured a ship of ours. The fact is, you cannot show the Iranians a scintilla of indecision, otherwise they do exactly what they did. So I am highly critical, and as for coming together with Europe, can somebody please name me a European ship that is anywhere near the Gulf that will be able to help us? It is the Americans that ultimately are required in this. They've asked for a coalition. We've done nothing about it. I'm afraid the government stands highly criticised for failing to take the right action, and I hope Boris Johnson will forget about the idea of upsetting the Iranians and simply say, number one priority, protect British shipping in the Gulf.